Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott and today is probably my first video response to Viking Preparedness in the titled "There Are No Shortcuts." And I want to say right off the bat that I'm a friend of Pastor Joe's and I am not in opposition to anything he says. I am in support of it. This is not my first homestead where I've had some property, but I've owned properties anywhere from 1 acre to 12 acres. But this was the first property where I really started from scratch. And I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of the timeline so you understand that there are no shortcuts. When we started, we first discovered this property March of last year, and there was the only thing that was on this property was this horrible little dirt driveway. There was a very small lot, or a little very small clearing, and there was a 20-year-old never used septic system on it. That was it. So anyhow, we contracted to buy the property, and it's about 6 acres. It's just shy of 6 acres. And then let's see, we found the property in March. We were able to close on the property in May, March to May. That included getting a survey done on the property so that we know what is ours and what is our neighbors. We had the title work, legal fees, lawyers, so it took about 1.5 to 2 months to close on the property, and we did not use a real estate agent, so that was a cost where we did save some money. From there, it took from May until September to get our home on the property. Now we have a manufactured home. We had it built somewhere else, and then we had them install it on our property. That had to be done, and like it is this year, there was a lot of rain in the spring and summer last year, so there were a lot of delays in getting that on. We had no utilities on this property. We had county water at the street, and we had no electricity, so we had to have those run. We had to have a gas line put in because we prefer gas heat over electric heat for several reasons. Okay, we had to get a dog run put up, and I'll walk around and kind of point this stuff out. We had to get an antenna tower put up so we can have internet access. There is no internet at this property, and so I have a radio tower, antenna tower put up so that I can beam in, as funny as that sounds, internet from another tower probably about 10 miles away. And it's pretty good service where we can watch some TV on it and stuff, so it's not terrible, but I use the internet for my business, so it was very important that I had decent internet service. As you can see, you probably see that there's gravel on the road. There was no gravel when we moved here. I put about somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 80 tons of gravel down here so that we had a place to park our cars, we had a place to drive. If we get deliveries from UPS or Amazon or the post office, they can come in and not get stuck. And before I put the gravel down, we almost lost an Amazon driver. So that took us into about November. Okay. And most of the work, we decided early on that in order for me to get the work done that I needed to get done, we bought a tractor, and I've talked about this before. We weren't planning on buying a tractor for another year or so, but I was falling behind, and so we got a tractor, and I use the dickens out of it now. but things take time, you know, and you can plan all you want, but there are always delays. An example, I was fortunate enough to have a young man who had a 6-ton skid steer clear my property for me for a very, very reasonable price. And he did in about 8 or 9 hours what would have taken me about a year to do. However, as he put the trees down, he stacked them up along the periphery of the area I asked him to clear. So now I've got lots of dead trees that I have to do something with, and it's really not healthy to leave them standing, because they decay, and then bugs get in there, and then disease, and then sometimes that disease transfers over to the good trees, which you don't want to harm. So that was all well and good, and I started clearing and cutting trees and stuff, and then it started raining. From what I understand, February was probably one of the wettest Februaries in my area recorded. Somebody told me that it rained more here in Georgia than it did in Seattle, Washington. So, and then just because it stops raining doesn't mean you can go out there the next day and start clearing land again. The water gets absorbed in the ground, and even though I'm on a hilltop, it still takes a while for it to run off and to dry out. In fact, I haven't had rain in several days, and I still see some muddy spots. So hopefully, we're supposed to get rain. I still have a job, so I have to work. But hopefully, maybe by this weekend, I can get out here again and start taking these trees apart. And what I'm doing with them is I'm pulling them off of the stack with my tractor, and then I am cutting them to length and then stacking them so somebody can come get them and use them for pulpwood. It's a little bit labor intensive. It'll take me a while to get it done. However, it's still less time than it would have taken me to clear these trees and dig up the stumps by myself. But there's a lot of trees. There's probably 40 to 60, maybe more trees that I have to pull out, cut up, and stack. I have a smallish tractor, and sometimes it takes me a little longer because it's a smallish tractor. I can't lift as much, or I can't stack as much, but I'm getting it done. You know, people talk about, you know, starting a garden. You know, coming out here and clearing this land is one thing. You know, in general, you might think, well, you can just go ahead and till up the earth and start a garden. Well, there's a couple things wrong with that. One is pine trees and gardens don't mix. Pine trees make the soil, I believe it's acidic, and they tend to suck the life out of the ground. So when you have a stand of pine trees, it doesn't help the ground. And so one thing I had to do is I had to go get my soil tested. And what you do is you go to your county extension office. They give you instructions on how to collect samples, and then you take those samples, you turn them back into the county, and they analyze your soil, and they tell you what you need. And in the case of my county, they tell me what to do for certain plants, like blueberries is one thing, a vegetable garden is another thing, fruit trees is another. And so then you have to do what they call amend the property. So now, and believe me, I've got a lot of amending I got to do. So, so now once I get the trees taken care of, then I can amend the soil, and then I can start thinking about what I'm going to plant where. It's kind of the permaculture thing, that you want to make things where they kind of take care of themselves. And so in my case, looking behind me, I want to put the tallest things at the back there, and then as I move forward, go shorter and shorter and shorter. And that way they'll get the sun. Right now I am facing south, and the sun comes from where I'm facing back. And so that's why we want to have the tallest stuff in the back. And so you have to plan that a little bit. I'm not going to be a big time permaculturist. So there's that. And then, you know, I just gave you kind of a walk around my property. If you look where I am now, and hopefully you can see my storage shed behind me. When I first got into this property, let's see if I can give you the clearing area. When we first got it, was only about to here, and only about maybe half as wide. So for me to even come in here, I had to almost triple the size of the little lot I had. And again, it's a time is money sort of thing. And so I got what I did is I got the property taken care of out to about the back of my shed, and then from the back of my shed, let's see if I can spin around a little bit, from the back of my shed to the back I just recently had cleared. And so here it is a year later. In the meantime, like I said, I added a workshop, I added a tractor, my little storage shed, this one here that's behind me, we brought that with us. It's well built, and I had a choice of either I buy one when I moved here, which would cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000, or for $500 I could have it moved. And so we opted to have it moved. It's just stuff, you know. I mean, it just takes time. I mean, even with a tractor, you know, it just takes time. Plus I work, my wife works, we own our own company, and so we have to do work there. But pay attention. You know, when Pastor Joe's telling you there's no shortcuts, there isn't. This all took lots of time. This is a year. This is as far as I got in the year, and we've been working pretty diligent at it. I think we might have taken no, we haven't taken a weekend off since we've been here. We have not taken any vacation time, so to speak. We've taken days off and just not done anything, but we haven't vacationed. And I try to chronicle this on my video, my YouTube channel, just to give people an idea of what's going on. And yes, you know, I occasionally do a news topic, or yes, I occasionally do some gear stuff, but that's not my life. My life is not that gear stuff. I do it because I like gear, and I do buy some gear, but it's not my life. You know, I probably have all the guns I need. I definitely know I have all the knives I need, and I probably have all the gear I need because I really don't need that much. My sons have profited from my excesses over the years, but you know, this isn't about the gear. You know, you see the bush hog and, you know, tractor bucket. The tractor was important, and that was a well thought out decision, especially on the size of the tractor, because as you get bigger in tractors, the price goes up, and so we had to balance between big tractor, lots of money, lots of power, and little tractor with not as much power, or maybe not enough. And I think what I got is probably just about perfect for this property, so that worked out well. But the essence of this really is that it's work. Now, are we going to get a garden in this year? Maybe, maybe not. I'm hoping to get all the trees cleared out. As you can see, I got a lot of work to do there. I'm hoping to get the soil amended, start planning what I'm going to put where, and then getting this patch of earth ready for things. Is this going to be all garden? No, but I'll have grasses and clover, and I'll have a vegetable garden, maybe some fruit trees, maybe some bamboo for building material. But it all takes time. Now, someone says, well, gee, what happens if the world comes to an end now? Well, we have food put aside. We have enough food to allow me the time. I mean, if the world goes, the world as we know it goes away today, I have enough food in storage where I can continue to prepare this land and then start my own food production by the time my food stores get a little low. So we are prepared in that respect. Would I like to be further along? Yeah. Would I like to have everything perfect? Yeah, I would. But, you know, if you're buying, you know, typically if you're buying land and you're buying land inexpensively, I won't say cheaply, but inexpensively, you're going to run into stuff like this. You're going to run into lots of trees you have to cut down. You got to make a hole for the sun to come in. And then you got to allow that. You can't sit there and say, well, if I work on this 7 days a week, I can get this done. Well, maybe. But if it rains for 2 weeks like it did for us, you can't work. I tried to work in this mud, and I almost got my four-wheel drive tractor stuck. I worked at it, but I almost got it stuck. And you just have to plan. When I was a project manager, for a lot of my planning, some of what I would do is I would make a plan based on ideal conditions, and then sometimes I would add up to about a third more time to allow for contingencies for delays, because you don't know. You know, do I have water? Yep, if you look behind me, that's my water storage. That's about 800 gallons of drinkable water, or, you know, mildly filtering or purifying water. So I have water that I can drink. I have water that I can use to flush my toilets because I have a septic system. If I need to get water, I can get it. I have an intermittent stream on my property. However, my neighbors have creeks, and I can get water from them. Or I can go, there's plenty of rivers nearby if I have to go somewhere else to get it. Eventually I'll come back around to the water, and I'll put up some rooftop rainwater collection devices. But, you know, for now, my biggest project is this land, this property, And I'm just, like I said, I'm just waiting for things to clear out and to dry up enough and get it going. So for all those that are thinking about coming out of Her My People, by all means do it. You know, make a plan and move out. Get out in the rural areas. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you feel. You know, there's very little noise out where I am. At night, the stars are beautiful. You know, if the coronavirus hits, that we probably will not be an affected area because we just, you know, we're not in touch with each other that much. We do talk to my neighbors, but we're not, you know, we're not there. It's all right. You know, quit watching all them gear videos. You know, quit watching. You know, quit worrying about the virus. Start worrying about your plan. Start worrying about getting out here. You know, the start of a long journey is taking that first step. And if you continue watching everybody else's journey, you'll never start your own. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I chronicle my stuff so that you all can see what's going on, what the things I've had to go through. You know, in the past I've owned other tracts of land, but this is the first time I had to start pretty much from scratch. It just takes time, but you work at it. And if you are one of these I want it now people, well, you're probably not going to get it all now. It just takes time. So that's all I got. I just wanted to, you know, give a shout out to Viking Preparedness, Pastor Joe Fox. Thank you for all you do. You know, thank you for helping me to stay focused. And you all need to get out. I'm serious. Not only for your physical well-being, but also for your mental well-being. So everybody stay safe and stay secure. We'll see you.